Hi there. Hi there, and welcome to another edition here of the FM Talks. I'm just waiting to see if anybody else is going to come on before we start. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. So I'm just waiting on people to come in. I haven't started the stream. I've already started the stream, but I haven't gone into the whole show yet. So this is going to take a bit of time before we kick in. All right, we have somebody watching the stream. And thank you for coming on for the stream today. Uh, on today's stream, I'm going to be dealing with a subject that a lot of people have asked me a lot of questions on over the last couple of years. And generally, it's got to do with how people get the best out of a lot of things in the game. Okay, so we've got six of you on already. Good. We should be able to start very soon. And having there's only one slight concern at the moment. The stream seems to be a bit slow. It's not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth stream, so I'm sorry about that. Hopefully the stream health picks up. If there are less than 10 people on the stream, I will switch it immediately to Discord screen share, which will be a lot faster and smoother. I'm just trying to see how many people we get on right now. We've got 7 at the moment. So if it reaches 10, then I'm probably gonna have to keep it on this channel. Um, I'm hoping that you guys can hear me clearly. Just type out any questions, or if you find that the stream is very hard to follow, please let me know, and I will try my best to re address some of the points I raised earlier. Just making sure that this is that we can see. Yeah, I'm just hoping that this stream is successful today, because I can't do much about the internet having us buffering slowly. Yeah, it's still giving me that message that it's slow. How does the stream come across to all of you? You can just let me know on the FM Talks. The chat window, if you can type in something and let me know that you're hearing me clearly or everything sounds okay, then I will continue. I'm just waiting to hear some comments. Elifang, I see Elifang typing. Yeah, it's inordinately. I can see the stream is red. It's really slow. So I've got 6 of you watching at the moment, and if this keeps up, yeah, there's some buffering. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm hoping that this gets better. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to I will talk a bit more instead of showing video first. I've done a short little video which I normally do. But okay, I'm gonna deal with certain things very quickly. First up, okay, when people talk about getting the best out of a system, what do people like me talk? I mean, essentially, what am I talking about? Okay, there are several levels for me when it comes to the game. The simplest at the simplest level, when it comes to the tactics themselves, you got to understand. You got to understand these roles. Most people, they go into the game and they don't actually understand the roles themselves and how they work together. So when they then they have problems. And I noticed something, because I was kind of watching of all the things I was watching. I was actually watching the stream, right? I was actually watching the Twitch stream between what's it call it? There was this Twitch event lately between this Twitch event. I'm hoping that the stream didn't screw up, because suddenly I think I went off. Okay. I don't know. Okay, I'm hoping the stream is there, because suddenly the screen just left. Okay. Anyway, I was watching the FM Cup competition. And I noticed certain things that were happening in the FM Cup. This was a recent one with £25,000 at stake, and certain things that people were doing with the choices that we're making. It still lends me to believe that most people don't really know what the roles themselves do. I think was Ali Fang or no Nicholas on Discord channel asked me this question about the Mazala and the Playmaker. Does this give me a problem? Now you gotta remember roles in the game. Just the first thing we want to do when we look at a role is understand what the role does. The descriptions in the whole thing is very very clear. Um, the playmaker, he's always going to be drifting between the holes. I've actually have got two players here playing in the half spaces, except one is slightly higher than the other one, and the other one is going to be attacking the half spaces. But why do I play these two roles so close together? You gotta look at the first up. The most important, the one I will recommend people look at is look at what the role itself, the instructions, what does it say? It says the guy is going to take more risky passes, get further forward, move into channels, and roam from position. Move into channels is a very misunderstood term. Move into channels literally tells a player to get in between gaps. These gaps will be the ones between midfielders like ML and MC, or the gap between the two central defenders. That is a channel. So the vertical spaces are the channels that we refer to. So when you want somebody to move into the channels, he's actually trying to move between players, and he's trying to explore that space in order for him to do something with it, right? So he's gonna go into those spaces and he's gonna attack those spaces, and they're gonna try and use that space. Now, when I use a Mazala and a Playmaker side by side, what I'm actually doing is I'm employing two players who are technically demanding roles, but between the two of them, they're gonna attract a lot of players to them. And when they do attract a lot of players to them, what they're gonna do is they're gonna keep the ball. So there are gonna be times when they might even get in each other's way, but when they have the ball, they will always have each other to pass to. So if you've watched any of my Liverpool Cop Diary saves lately, you will notice how I make Mane play on the left, how I make him play on the left flank. He drifts all over the place. And this is the thing, the role, the playmaker's role doesn't have roam from position, but the role for the Mazala has roam from position. So if you think about how these roles play, it will fit into that requirement, so to speak. Because if you follow Pep Guardiola and the way he sets up his tactics, I'm not claiming that my tactics are like his. I'm just saying that I like the principles where he wants his players to be close together when they have the ball, but he wants some players to be wide, stay wide when the team has the ball. So whenever the midfielders have the ball, he wants them not to be very far away from each other, so that they can pass the ball to each other, and that they keep the ball effectively. And players like Sane and Leroy Sane and Raheem Sterling are told to stay wide so that they can stretch. But why are players like Raheem Sterling and Sane told to stay wide? They are told to stay wide, and they're always told to stay wide. And if you look at the way he's played with different teams, it's always the same. He gets them to stay wide because the overloading that his midfielders are doing when they keep the ball so close together, they draw other players to them. And in doing so, when they do draw players to them, what will happen is, they've got so many players beside them that in the end, they will pull players to them, and then you get spaces opening up for the inside forward on the right flank, and then voila, these guys are free to attack the spaces. So first thing we gotta understand when we choose a game, we need to understand what the roles do. Inside forward, he's gonna cut inside. right? He's going to attack the space diagonally. Inverted winger attacks the space diagonally. Winger, if you want to drop in crosses, you want to use a winger on attack. The difference between an attack duty and a support duty, you cannot get the best out of your system if you don't even know what the roles themselves do. And this is another problem that people have. They choose roles that their players can't play. I've seen this a lot. I've seen, like, for example, complete forward. You don't have a player who can play the complete forward, but I've seen so many people use complete forward. It's the worst role in the game, in my honest opinion, because it's the hardest role to pull off. And unless you get a player who can play this role inordinately well and unnaturally well, you're gonna struggle, because you don't even know what this role is gonna do. The complete forward has got room from position. So he may not even be in the box when you need him to be in the box. So you won't know. At least with a DLF on support, he drops deep. F9 will drop really deep. Target man, he's going to be around here. Advanced forward, he's going to be on the shoulder, the last player. So understanding what the roles do is very important. Inverted wingbacks, very simple. Misconception. The inverted wingback in this in the game is meant to follow Pep Guardiola's inverted wingback, not any other inverted wingback in the game. Then the Carrillo, just understand Carrillo is going to be moving sideways and trying to control the zone here. So when you understand what the roles do, you will be able to master the first element of the game that we have to master, which is getting the best out of your players. Because I never bother about this. This suitability as an advanced player must support. I have never cared about it. I don't ever care about it. It does play a part, but it's not that important. Why? Because the positional ability is more important than the suitability for the role. Because the suitability for the role is off a metric in the game, where they will look at the player and look at his attributes. Okay, can this guy play as a playmaker? They look at balance. So how will you know this player can play this role? So if you go here, I think he's on the left. Okay, so he's on the left, advanced playmaker, right? So it goes here. It says composure is 10, therefore he cannot be so he won't be playing well as a playmaker, because the numbers are low, 12. So it uses this metric for it to decide whether or not the player can play this role very well. Now, everything in the game is there's a relationship between the attribute of that player, that role, and the team that you're playing against. So that positional ability becomes completely irrelevant if you're playing against a minnow, a team and here, this team is one of the best teams in England. So probably one of the best teams in Europe. So you could afford to take a chance with some of these players and go, okay, fine, I'll try him out in this position and see how it goes. So remember that if you want to get the best out of a player, make sure that for the job that you want him to do, he can do it. So here we've got Sane, and I want him to play as an advanced playmaker. So if I want him to play as an advanced playmaker, the first thing I want to check is, you see, I'm going to have two players in close proximity, right? We're going to have the Mezzala and the playmaker. These guys, if you don't get the right players, they're going to run into each other. And you're going to see a lot of comical things happen. And yes, they will. I think I do this sometimes with... I tried it out with one of my non-league sites. It was very comical. So if you don't have the players for it, it's going to be hard. But if you have the players for it, it's very rewarding. So if you are playing in a competition, for example, so if you're playing an online competition where there's a lot of money at stake, like the FM Live one, man, if anybody had created a 3-man midfield with this configuration with a wide player, they would have ruled an entire flank, because a lot of players were playing it with 2 central midfielders, which was kind of funny. So here, in this particular case, what do we know of this player, Leroy Sané? So if we want him to play as a playmaker, what is the one characteristic I want him to have? I want him to have decent balance and first touch, so he doesn't lose the ball. Right? Composure, when I look at his composure, number 10, I know, okay, I'm hoping that he doesn't come under pressure. So if we play with a team that's going to give us a high block, then chances are they put pressure on him, tight mark him, close him down, then I might have a problem. So if you play against another player and you see that player using something like this, you see a playmaker there, and you go and check out, oh, his playmaker is a composure of 10. We're going to close him down. Because when you close down that playmaker, the low composure rating kicks in. Right? So it kicks in, and if he has got low balance, it'll kick in. He's in trouble. You can take the ball off him. So this is how you get the best out of your players, and you get the best out of a role. So you need to understand what each attribute, how you there's no one. I mean, my book, I explain these attributes, right? But like, you need to understand the attributes and what they bring to the table. Playmakers need balance, without a shadow of a doubt. Okay, why is balance so important? Have you ever tried to keep a ball and you have to move left and right, and then you're under pressure? You have to shift the ball from your left foot to your right foot. If you don't have good balance, trust me, you can't do it. Okay, I ought to know because I was useless when I was younger. All right, and off the ball. Why is off the ball important? Off the ball is very important if you want to play. If you want to give this guy, all right, a job to do where you are an attacking team, you're playing against a defensively minded team, and you want to try to unlock that team with a lot of movement. Because people always tell me, I have a 4-3-1-2, I can't make them move. Why is that the case? Because if your team is locked up with poor off the ball, then you're gonna have issues as well. So then these guys, they're not going to be moving. So when I play Sane as a playmaker, I know that his balance is okay, his first touch. If he gets the ball, he's not gonna, he takes the ball down quickly. So what do I do with Sane? I tell him to pass it short, right? I can even tell him to play no risk passes, because I know Sane is not gonna, he might have a problem with composure. So, pass the ball back, play a short pass, and guess who's gonna pass it to? The man himself, De Bruyne. De Bruyne, who's gonna be just beside him, has got balance of 13. Composure of 14, first touch of 17, off the ball of 15. I have no worries, because if you can get the ball to De Bruyne, we should be fine. So when you want to get the best out of your players, you want to get the best out of the roles, you got to think of how they play with each other. I see a lot of questions I've been getting lately. I mean, people talk to me about, okay, all right, I want to get the best out of this player. How do I train him? Okay, fine. That only handles that maybe 10% of what he's capable of. The rest of it is how he's going to play with another player in his team. So here I've taken Sane and strengthened these two, made sure that we can hang on to the ball. So this is one of the things that I do in the way I set things up with my tactics. Now there's so much more that there's so much more here that I want to talk about. And what I'm going to do right now is I prepared a short little video, a guide actually, where I talk about getting the best out of a lot of things. Yes, we're going to look at training, we're going to look at tactics. I'm going to be as concise as possible, but I want to try and get as much information out there. The first thing you want to do is, when it comes to training, how do you get the best out of your team? Make sure your preseason is intelligent. Do not go into preseason without a plan. Now, most people just go into preseason, hit, punch, continue, and just tell the S-man, do what you want to do, and we'll see you when the season starts. Yeah, that's fine. But I like to look at preseason as a chance for me to get my team in perfect physical condition. On top of that, if I'm using a new tactic, that's when I start looking at my tactic to see whether it's performing. Now, I'll focus on that a bit later. But when it comes to preseason, there are two things you want to do. You want to make sure that how you use the scheduling bar, you want to turn it all the way to the left. Don't have any rest days before and after a match. I'll focus on things like, whatever you want. You had a lot of new players, go on team cohesion. You do that only for preseason. And then have lots of friendlies. But don't worry about, do you need fitness for them to be fit? No. This is attribute modifiers. So team cohesion helps with when you have lots of new players. Then once the preseason is underway, you've done your preseason, then you start thinking about using a tactic. Now, tactical familiarity is very easy. The easiest way to get it up very fast is make sure that you do not have too many tactics, and don't do too much of TI, PI changes. Then your tactical familiarity shoots up very fast. But me, I don't really care about tactical familiarity. I mean, this is for people who are they're very focused on, I swear to God, I need this bar to be maxed out. If you're the kind of player, that's how you do it. Do you get the best out of it? won't guarantee you. Then the other thing is coaches. Make sure that you're investing in your coaches. Make sure that the workloads are always light. This way, they get more time for each individual player. What about the individual players themselves? Now, keep track of their workloads, right? So you like here. Look at my workload. Everything is very heavy. This is a very bad setup. So you don't want this. So you go into your team, like here, it's very heavy. So I know my season is underway. If I go back to my squad now, this is what you want to see. If you have a few players on heavy, that's ideal. Then for individual players, you can check the individual players out by going to the training and development, and then look at this individual training load. As you know, if you want this to be heavy, just come here and hit heavy here. He's still not heavy yet. Give him a player trait to learn, and he will he will develop over time. So here we have this player working on being a deep line forward on support. He's got the right attributes. We just want his balance to improve, and uh, voila. Okay, what about the best role for a player to train in? It always depends on the tactic that you have and the attributes that you're short in. See, simply put, look at your own tactic. Now, if you're playing him like in our case, I'm playing Ashley Pope as a deep line forward in my system, which has got a deep line forward here. But I need him to drop deep, and I need him to pass the ball. I need him to hold on to the ball. The one thing that Pope lacks in is balance, because he always tends to lose the ball. So I'm looking at first up, I'm looking for a position role training that has this. Secondly, if I need to, then I will give him an additional focus of balance. This can boost up the balance training attribute, but in this case, we want dribbling as well. Choose as well a role that doesn't have hit too many areas. Like the worst role I hate for strikers to train them in is this role, complete forward. It's got everything. I mean, I don't need everything. So I usually focus on roles that don't have too many attributes, especially when they're young. That way I can zoom in on. I've been known to actually train youngsters as poachers because it's got the fewest, and they just get their finishing composure up. Then as they get slightly older, I start moving them around on training schedules to get other attributes going up. So you can do that as well. So you can be very focused. What about player traits? Now, player traits, there's no one thing about player traits depends on your attributes as well. If your attributes aren't there, for example, can you get any player to learn play killer ball? Yes, you can, provided it's got passing, vision, and decisions. If those attributes are low, he can't play the killer ball. So you also want to make sure that the right player has the right attributes, or you wait for those attributes to improve over time, then you can get it done. What about goalkeepers? Now, I get this interesting question. How do I develop my goalkeepers? Okay, to be honest with you guys, I don't really pay too much attention to goalkeepers. Okay, I buy them, I use them, abuse them, and I fire them. That's what I do with my goalkeepers. But simply put, in my way of playing, the way I play my tactics, if you look at Liverpool and if you look at Kingstonian, I like to play my ball on the ground. Now, with Liverpool, I want the keeper to have first touch, composure, and kicking. So, and I also need his vision, but vision you can't train that in the game. So I will focus on getting those attributes. So he's training as a sweeper keeper, but I will work on those 3 attributes over the course of his life. Then I have keepers with Kingstonian. Now, Kingstonian, it's much more easier for me. I just want you to kick the damn ball. I don't need you to do anything more too elaborate. So with Kingstonian, I'm more worried about kicking than I am about other things. So first touch and kicking are the ones I focus on with Kingstonian. With Liverpool, it's first touch, composure, and kicking, because we tend to keep the ball in tight areas with Liverpool, and then the goalkeeper uses the long kick to unlock sides, and sometimes he brings the ball up, so it's first touch, dribbling. So important. So when it comes to your goalkeeper, it depends entirely on the style of play that you have. So you want to first up know and be very comfortable with your own style of football. And if you're not comfortable with your style of football, then you have another issue. Let's talk now about how you get the best of your tactics. Now, tactics there are 2 parts to this. Now, first up, when you're making tactics, you want to understand what the roles do. First up, what does a role do? This is a winger. He's going to go down the flanks. He's going to drop in a cross. Simply put, that's what a winger does, especially if it's on attack. So, in my system, if I want to play a winger on attack, first I need to know whether I have the player to play as a winger on attack. uh, then I will go out there and make sure that this winger on attack, at least we can beat teams. So his attributes might have to be half decent. So in this particular case, he's only got acceleration of 2. So whenever I play Williams here, chances are we gotta have a few more players here holding on to the ball. I gotta make sure a lot of players here can hold up the ball. But if I play another player here with acceleration, then I know that this guy can explode down the flanks. If he escapes down the flanks, then he gets down the byline and he tries to cross the ball. But because I have a winger on attack and no other player, there's no poacher here. Right. So this means that this winger on attack, he has to be pretty good at holding up the ball. So he needs first touch, balance, crossing. So when he gets down the byline, he's going to dribble a bit before the rest of the players make it into the box. So it's a very simple setup. So I know how my tactic plays. These guys, the 4 of them are just going to try and control midfield. And if this DLF drops deep enough, we might see this inside forward playing a role or finding this winger on attack. He might get into the box. I also know that if I need to score goals, this wingback can be converted into a wingback on support, and he will overlap and become a danger for crosses as well. But here, when we're thinking about the tactic, we have to think about it holistically. Whenever you have a tactic, you got to ask yourself, where are my goals coming from? So here I got two ball playing defenders. I got defensive centre back. All he does is kick the ball. The first chance he gets. So I know that, okay, I'll get goals coming from this guy breaking down the byline and, drilling across for either these two to finish. And then I've got this guy who's going to kick the ball long. And that's good. And if I need this guy to get involved, I can. He can pass a wing back on support. He will overlap. This will cause this guy to attack the box. And I've got a playmaker here who's going to be, trying to hold up and control the ball in the middle. Okay. That's it. So we know how we're going to score goals. The problem right now is, for me, I will also know that we're not the sort of team that's going to be able to spend 15 minutes inside a box trying to unlock that team. We are not Liverpool. Liverpool system is different because the Liverpool system can afford to do that. But with this team, we're not going to get a lot of chances inside the box. But I need to make sure that the chances that are good chances. And this brings me to my next point. How do you know your chances are good? Okay, first thing that we need to do is we first need to understand what I consider to be a good chance. Now, the first thing you want to, when you go into the game, you're going to have to distinguish between chances that are inside the box from open play and those that are not from open play. So you got to take all those non-open play ones and remove them from the equation. So don't look at defense set pieces. So if it's a shot that is a product of a set piece, take it out. You don't want it in your equation. So if you had like 6 shots on target and 3 of them came from set pieces, then you really only had 3 shots on 3 shots you want to look at. Then from these 3 shots, you want to see which of these shots were inside the box. Then ultimately that gives you your good chance indicator. So if you have only 1 shot inside the box, it means that you really only produce 1 good chance inside the box. One other way of doing it is, of course, naturally to go to your match stats. Now, match stats itself will tell you something like clear-cut chances. Like here we have 0. That's one way. If you are the kind of person that doesn't have that much time to do all this kind of stuff, then fine, go here 0. I didn't have any good chances in the box. How do I improve it? What kind of chances did I create? Then you come to the second part. You have to start looking at your chances. So here we have shots on goal. We have 4 shots at goal. We scored 3 goals in this game. So which one of these was a good chance inside the box? So first up, we have to rule out all those that came from set pieces. So we have 1 here. This came from a set piece. So this is out. It may be a great set piece, but forget it. It's gone. It's out. It's not considered anymore. Then we got a second one here. This is okay from a free kick. Doesn't count. Well, he might have had some time to, put that ball over the keeper who should really have handled that. So then we left with 1 more chance inside the box. So this is not too bad. Puts pressure on the defender. Defender loses the ball. Pope has all the time in the world. Defenders are pretty far away from him for him to, aim. It's a difficult shot. This is not really a clear-cut chance. If he was standing here, it'll be a clear-cut chance. But he's standing here, so it's not a very easy chance, but it's a good chance inside the box. So he scores. Okay, fine, we got 1 then. Then we look at the other shots. Then we got off-target shots for Kingstonian. We got only 1 more that's inside the box. So this is off target. So we have to look at this chance inside the box. Was this any good? This was lucky. First up was a deflected off a player. Sparks gets into the box. This is not an easy chance. It's a very difficult chance. So we rule that out. So we still only have one good chance inside the box. Then we look at shots saved, and we got 3 shots saved here. So we watch the highlights with these. McKenzie plays the ball to Williams, boom, header, flying in the air. That's not an easy header. Someone is coming in at an angle. It's not an easy header to because you gotta put power in it. It was rising at the ball, so it wasn't coming down, and it was going into the ball. So it's not an easy chance, not an easy header. This is out. This is a set piece. Okay, doesn't get considered. So we still only have one. This makes me feel really miserable. Okay, they got one Poe here. Ashley Poe inside the box. Oops, up. Okay, not an easy chance. Okay, miserable me. So I know from my own tactic, that we want to be that from this match where we had so many shots on goal, we had quite a few. Looking at this match that we play against this, we had 6 shots on target out of 11. It make anybody excited because you got 62% possession. Wow. But now when I look at the game 3-1, I realize, hey man, excuse me, we were pretty shit. We won the game 3-1, but in open play we were useless. So what do I do then? So I start looking and tracking these. I have my own spreadsheet here. So what I do is I've got a section here for quality. This whole thing is a quality of shots analysis. So I track my tactic over time. Any changes that I made, I put notes here, who I played against, and these are basically shots. So total shots on target, total shots on target for my team against the opposition. Then I do a percentage here. So for the game against Ipswich, it was 11-6. So I had a 55% shot on target, which is actually quite good if you think about it. You want to be aiming for about 50. First up, this is the first metric I want to be aiming for. Between 55% to about 65% is what I'm aiming for. So I got 55%. I'm not too unhappy about this. This says, okay, it's not bad. But tactic at least gets a few shots on target. Then my next step is to say, what kind of shots were these? So we got 6 shots inside the box. Okay. There were a total of 8 shots inside the box. And I had to remove 3 because these came from set pieces. So we really only have 5 shots inside the box. Right. And only one of these was a good chance inside the box, which was Ashley Pope's goal. So I got 1 out of 5, which gives me a return of 20%. 45%, this is like a weighting. This is like, sometimes you might get a better return. Like here we got 5 out of 9. But then when I look at the game, I had 1 out of 6 we had 1 out of 6, which wasn't too bad. What I'm trying to do here is pretty simple. What I'm trying to do here is to understand the quality of my chances inside the box. Now, 1 out of 5 basically is 20%. So I'm trying to get this number to be about 30 to 40%, which would say for every 1 out of 3 chances inside the box, I will get a good goal scoring opportunity. It's what I really am aiming for. So when I first started out the season, I was pretty dog shit. 0, 50, 0, 100, 0, 0. So I was like, I got to do something different. So initially during the start of my season, my wingbacks were on a tank. And then I realized this was not helping. So I changed my wingback on support, and immediately we had a change of fortune, 67, 17, 83. All right. Then here I changed my wingback back to support. Then here I changed my wingback back to defend, and I kept it on defend all the way until here. And I noticed I have a pattern. So it's better for my wingback on support to be on support on the right flank. So I noticed that there was a trend in the way we were creating our tactics. So it allows me to analyze my tactics. So now whenever I go into matches, what I do is I know that if I want to get better quality chances inside the box or more chances inside the box, this wingback has to play on support. I also know that if I don't play him on support, my chances are going to be few and far between, and it's going to be a lot of it's going to depend on this guy. So if I'm looking at my tactic and to get the best out of my tactic, then I know, okay, if I want to be a bit more defensive, I go a wing back on defense. But then I know my chances won't be fantastic. But if I'm trying to chase a game or I want to score a goal, I want to put pressure on the AI, then I turn this guy into a wing back on support. This allows me to get the best out of my tactic, but I need to know how my goals are going to occur. And I also need to know when I'm playing the game, okay, how many chances do I need before I get a good chance inside the box? So the downside about this approach is this: you're gonna be doing a lot of little going into the match, and you're gonna have to try and determine what a good chance is. So this is gonna be good practice for those people who aren't used to it. Like we get a lot of complaints. I mean, I've read a lot of complaints on the forums or even on threads elsewhere, where people say, I had like 27 shots on goal, and I only had scored one goal. What kind of shitty game is this? I look at all his shots. I went like, dude, you had 27 shots on goal. You only had one chance that was nice inside the box. That was like, a gimme goal, and you scored from there. But the rest of them was like 15 of them outside the box. And the other 10 was at difficult angles. The AI kept you marshaled pretty well. So you want to be doing this in your game. You want to be understanding your tactic. Okay, so I hope that was helped. I know there was a lot of information that I put out there, because sometimes I think I might be putting too much out there and people might get confused. I'm going to deal with some of the questions that I got earlier. Are the channels only horizontal? Rian asked. Okay, now the channels are only horizontal. But this kind of vertical running, you don't see very much. You do see some of it, but when we talk about moving through the channels, we're talking about these are the channels between the wing backs, up and down here, up and down here. Okay, this channel here, I mean, you rarely see a player running. Okay, I'll give you an example. Poacher, he's got an instruction called move into the channels, but you don't see the poacher running through these channels. There's no other channel here. He doesn't run this way either. But the poacher does run wide to get the ball, but he doesn't run this way. And if you gave any one of these chaps move into channels instruction, you don't see them going this way either. Vertically, they actually are going to be moving forward and getting into the channels between the players. So if that's why move into channels is something that when you use that instruction, you got to think about. You got to think about the opposition tactic itself. Sometimes, there's no point using it. Sometimes it helps, but I like to use it with my poacher, for example, and I like to use it with sometimes even with this chap here, the DLF on support. Like, let me deal with another question before I come back to this. Yes, Elifang, it was the FMWEC Cup, and Mibi said this, but Sane is young. If I want him to play a playmaker role eventually, I need to have him play as such to raise his attributes, not for competitions. Very good question. Okay. Once again, when you go to this over here, when we're looking at Woodburn, the information we're gonna get about Woodburn is that he is when he plays this position, right? He's positionally okay to play here, all right, but it's unconvincing. If you hover over this button, you'll see positional ability as an attacking midfielder, he's natural, all right, but he's competent as a playmaker on support. Why this competency improves with attributes. So when his attributes grow, he gets better, he becomes competent. You can play a player out of position. Let's see if I played him as a defender right now. Okay, let's assume I put him here. Then it will change. He's ineffectual as a wing back on the right, and ineffectual because he can't play in this role. Right. There are two reasons why. First up, his attributes, they're not effective for this position. You'd have to, but I could retrain him, and over time, positionally, he will improve. Okay, and as a wing back, if he continues to play in that role, he might become suitable as a wing back much later on, a lot later on in his career. Yeah, I think so. I'm trying. Today there was something with my mouse. It's giving me a bit of a problem. Hold on, let me see if I can. Uh, yeah, it's still not doing it properly. I'm trying to get the game to show on another thingamajig, but for some reason I just had an update to what's that thing called OBS today, and all of a sudden the mouse thingamajig stopped showing, so I can't really change it now. So I'm gonna leave it as it is. I don't wanna mess with it, or else it's gonna screw things up on the stream again. So I'm gonna leave it the way it is, and hopefully it's okay. Yeah, I think I probably know why that is happening. Okay, okay, I'm hoping that this might work. So vertically, when I'm talking about the spaces vertically, I'm talking about the space moving into channels is between this wingback and between the wingback and the central defender. This is the move into channels, the space between them here, the vertical space between them, not the I hope I got vertical and horizontal right, but it's those two spaces there. Now people might look at this tactic and the one that I created and wonder, I hope I got it right. I can't remember. Oh man, I can load this again. Why I set this tactic up the way it is? Because here in this tactic, it's all about it was all about creating a system in such a way that I would have space for Salah. This whole tactic was designed to give Salah space, and the way I did it was to use the roles that are in the game. I have the Mezzala role for Wijnaldum, who is if you hover over him, he's positionally okay. He's a natural as a Mezzala. If you wanted to find out more, then you'd have to go to the training, change his training, and then put him on Mezzala. Then you see all the attributes kicking in. So he's according to the game, he's a natural. But to be honest with you, Mezzala's role, you need a lot more flair than 13. It should be about 15 for a Mezzala, if you want a really good Mezzala. So in my opinion, in this position for Liverpool, the person that plays this role better than Wijnaldum is actually Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. But he doesn't have all the attributes. He has flair, right? But his passing is only 13 and his decisions are only 12. So, but he has the flair to play as a Mezzala, and I have noticed that he's done quite well. But here, this tactic, it was designed simply so that I could get Salah attacking space. That was done simply by me using the combination of the attacking playmaker and the Mezzala. Now, the interesting thing people might be wondering is how the heck did these two wingbacks on attack? How do I get these two to attack so well? And I don't have problems defensively. If you look at my whole season, I'm not gonna. This is my whole season stages. Let's see how many goals I've conceded. I've only conceded 19 goals the whole season. We've only conceded 19 goals, and it's not down to anything else but the way I set the back line up. Close out much less. So how do I get, so for me to get the best out of these players, it's more a case of, if I wanted my wingback to bomb forward, I need players to protect him. So in games where it's a bit tougher, I might play with Milner. I get the best out of Robertson, because if Robertson has to, if he doesn't have a screen in front of him, I can't get the best out of my wingback. Same applies with Gomez. If I don't have a player who can act as an effective screen in front of him, I won't get the best out of Gomez. So I can now have him as a wingback on attack. So the thing about getting the best out of players is literally all about partnerships on the pitch. This one for the tactic that I have right now, Elifang is asking me a question. Do you think an inverted wingback will support in the on the left is bad for this tactic? I think, probably because I have options for this tactic. That if I'm not mistaken, I turn this guy into support. The wingback overlaps. So this becomes a very, very harrowing tactic for any player to play against. If it was it's a very dangerous tactic because I draw teams to one side of the pitch and I unleash Salah down one side, and Salah has scored a lot of goals. I don't know if you guys are right. If you guys are into spoilers, haven't reached the end of the season yet, but he's already scored 47 goals out of 43 appearances, and he's already had like quite a few hat tricks this season. But he's not broken the hat trick record. But he's only played 47 games and 43 games. Is it 43 games? Something like that. So if I wanted to play an inverted wingback here, it would be counterintuitive because then I would be really depending on somebody else providing width. Because you have to understand, when would I want to use an inverted wingback? If I want to use an inverted wingback, then this Mezzala will be told to run wide with ball. Then somebody else has to provide width. Otherwise, I only have width coming from one player. Here, I have width coming from both of them. So, I don't use an inverted wingback. It would be bad for this tactic. To answer Ali Fang's question. Okay, Rian has got another question about Poacher moving into channel. If I give him the instructions, I see him go wider to get a ball, and then he runs with the ball along the left side. The move into channel will have told him to move to the left. The running down the line would have been alone deciding to stay on the cross, right? All right, when you give a Poacher move into channels, okay, he runs between the defenders, between the two defenders, gets in between the two defenders and makes a beeline for goal. All right. Sometimes he will the Poacher himself, he just runs wide with the ball because he is the only player who can receive the ball. So he will run wide and take the ball wide. The thing about the Poacher is this: the reason why he runs wide with the ball when he has no other option is because of the Poacher's PIs. If you turn him into an advanced forward, all right, who has the move into channels locked in, you don't see the advanced forward running wide with the ball, unless you give him run wide with ball. All right. The Poacher, on the other hand, he is a player that doesn't, because the Poacher doesn't dribble more. He will the most simplistic role in the game. It is the best role in the game for simplicity because he only has few risky passes and get further forward. That's it. That's all the Poacher does. So when the Poacher is the only player getting the ball, then he has no other passing options, he will run wide with the ball. So it's not because of move into channels. All right, so do we have any other questions? Because when I look at a lot of the tactics that people put out, right, I've seen a lot of questions on the forums, and I've seen a lot of there's a lot of strange stuff on the forums these days. It's very hard for me to say something because we kind of like, that's another matter altogether, but I won't talk about the forums here. But the thing is that there's a lot of information on the forums now, and the problem is that for some of this information, it can give people the wrong kind of ideas about the game. For example, somebody just posted something on Discord a couple of days ago, and he was talking about something on FMBase. Now, FMBase, somebody had done an article that had everything. It paints by numbers, everything is there, passing directness, from 0 to 20 was the passing, 12 or 13 mentality, the value, the numerical value itself, and asked whether I found it was that an important thing. For me, that was as good as for me that the information is useful to me as toilet paper, because that's what I'm going to use it for. Because if you guys start becoming number crunchers in this game, you're never going to enjoy it. The most important thing, the best way to get the best out of your players is actually to understand two things in the game. One is the roles themselves. what goes into that role. The second thing you need to understand is, this is the most important thing, and this is the part that most people just ignore. All right. When you go to any role in the game, so let's go to Joe Gomez, and I go to his training. Now, if you pick DR playing position, it's gonna be irrelevant, right? But you see, as a DR playing position, when you train him like this, most of his attributes, this will revert, right? When he goes to training, it will revert to exactly what you've been telling him to do in the game. So here, I've been asking him to play as a wing back. So when it comes to his training, it doesn't affect him so much. It just works on his training average, and also the attributes will go up. So you can leave it that way. If you want to be min-maxer and you're thinking to yourself, I want to get more out of my player, then you go here and do wing back training. What will happen is, he will be training in the for the position, but there'll be extra emphasis on crossing, dribbling, marking, passing, tackling, concentration, decisions. Then what you have to do is you have to know what each attribute does and why each attribute is important for the transitions themselves. So what I would do is, I would go into this game and I would understand what the attributes do. Why are the attributes like, why is composure? What does composure how does it affect your player? It'll affect your player. For strikers, of course, finishing composure. We all know that. That's the first thing we learn when you start playing Championship Manager. But most people forget composure is about what he can do with the ball. So he can't make a decision. All right, he can't do something with the ball if he's put under pressure. So if you come across a team where the defenders have got low composure, what do you think is a good strategy to use against them? So how do you get the best of your boys? If they've got low composure at the back, what you do is you play a high pressing game and you put them under a lot of pressure, or you play a game where you're drilling them with crosses. The composure is going to be affected. So this is something that we need to understand, because attributes themselves, each attribute will affect something in the game, and this is how you get small little. You understand the game. If you can understand the game, it becomes a lot more easier. Instead of like fixating on things like, oh, the 5-2-3 is I can't play the game anymore because the 5-2-3 is too strong. But I was laughing my head off at the FMWEC, the 5-2-3s everybody came with. The tactic that ultimately won the day wasn't even a 5-2-3. Would I use pass into channels for players moving into channels? I would use okay. I don't go out there and give every striker pass into channels, because I don't want all my strikers ding-donging up and down. Because when you look at a game, right, and I don't know if we have it here, but sometimes when you look at a player, you might see them like ding-dong a bit. Like, what I mean is, they will move in between spaces. Like, let's see if we can find one. Like, I want you to look at look at the strikers here. Okay, like at Salah. Okay, that when he goes forward, now there is this space where they move into channels. This is when I'm talking about moving into the channels, right? Now what Mo Salah will do is, in order for him not to get offside, he will test the channels. So he will move forward, he'll move back, he'll move forward, he'll move back, he'll move forward, he'll move back. Now, this you'll notice some other roles, you'll see it more often when you are building play around a box. Sometimes you see this little jinx that a player does, like this number 11. What he will do is he will go left, then he'll go right, closer to goal, further away from goal, waiting for the pass. That is move into channels. Right, that is off the ball movement. So these are things that when he's moving between the defenders, he's moving into the channels. Now, do we want a player to do that all the time? Not necessarily, because if sometimes you, especially in my 4-3-1-2s, when I've got 3 strikers and I'm using like a trident system, I don't want all of them moving into channels, because then I can't pass the ball to them, because they're running away from the ball. Nobody's coming to the guy with the ball. They're all both, oh hey, guess what? I'm hiding. I'm going away now. I'm coming back now. I'm like, what the heck am I gonna pass the ball to? So sometimes you got to think about who you want to use the move into channel. You don't give it to everybody. Okay, I like to give my move into channels to the guy who's going to be the striker, the poacher, Yes. If it's only two strikers like a DLF on support and a poacher, yes, move into channels. I'll ask both of them to do it because then I want them both to be a partnership working with each other. So the DLF on support, he drops deep. Okay. And then after he lays off the pass to somebody, he will move into the channels, move forward to receive the pass. So that's how I use the move into channels the instruction a bit more effectively in the game. All right. Now, I will be traveling for the next couple of days because my mother needs me in Singapore. So for the next 2 or 3 days, I will be away, and I'm hoping that I'll still be contactable via Discord. So if you guys have any questions, please ask me on Discord, and I will definitely try and get back to you. I hope you guys found that video useful. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I'm gonna call it for now. It's a bit of a pity we didn't get a lot of questions on today's channel. We got questions. I want to thank Maybe for his questions, Rain for his questions, Elifang for his questions, and Rick for letting me know that we're all's well over here. So once again, thank you for your participation in today's FM Talks. If you guys have any questions, please ask away, and I will try my best. Now I will try and wait for this whole show to buff process on YouTube, and then it should be available for you guys. The link in FM Talk should be active once the show is available. So once again, thank you everybody for taking the time out for coming out and joining me on today's show. So I'll catch up with you guys again soon. You guys take care, have a good one. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.